welcome to the Egmont podcast, where we have candid conversations with migrants or children of migrants who are doing very well in their careers. We'll be going over their lives, their journey, their careers, and hopefully we get to inspire some dreamers along the way. Today we are joined by the incredible, fantastic, the outstanding British-Nigerian fashion designer, Samson Soboye.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome, Samson.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Samson is an amazing fashion designer. He's been doing his thing for the past 2-3 decades.
That's correct.
He's done work in here in London, in Germany, in Nigeria. He's
South Africa, Gambia, India.
Even more. You've dressed celebrities like Nile Rodgers, John Boyega, Nicola Cole. I'm sure the list is longer.
Yeah.
And you also teach. Several universities here in London.
Yeah, I'm teaching on master's level and BA level, undergraduate level. So yeah, I've been doing that for now 7 years and counting. I've not been trained to be a teacher, but my vocation has taught me lots of lessons along the way, which I pass back to the new generation.
That's the best kind of school anyways. Learning from experience.
Yeah.
So, let's start at the beginning.
Yeah.
Samson, where were you born?
I was born in London, a part of East London known as Forest Gate. I was there for 2 or 3 years before moving to Hackney. Okay. So Hackney is my kind of spiritual birthplace, if you like. I grew up there from the age of about 4 and didn't leave there until I was 21.
Oh,
so East London's my spiritual.
You are, your parents or your family's Nigerian?
My parents are Nigerian. My parents came in the 60s, 63, and settled here. And I think they intended to go back in the 70s, but didn't understand how hostile it was going to be. I mean, their vision of what London was, the streets were paved with gold, money falls from the trees.
Right.
It was, their whole kind of colonial, post-colonial era, and they thought. So their idea, like many Nigerians, was to come here, make a new kind of way for their lives, and go back and make the new Nigeria.
Right.
Not understanding how racist, hostile, and difficult it would be. Nothing had prepared them for what they were about to have or receive once they lived here. So my dad came ahead of my mum, and he kind of came to find a house and a job before bringing his wife over, my mum. So she came over a year or so later, and I was born the following year. Yeah, my dad was an electrician, kind of an electrician. He used to work for Philips, and doing the cables for what made circuits that made televisions and radios and stuff like that. So he was at there research and development. Yeah. Okay. So that was his forte. And my mum was a caterer.
Right. The humble beginnings, and there's the story of migration is so amazing, especially because they're all a little bit different, but they're very similar. All aspiring for a better future for ourselves and our families, and of course, nothing ever prepares you for what it's actually going to be like. Yeah, I'm pretty sure even then it was even harder than it is today.
I think for them it was because my dad was one of the 4 runners that came, and then a whole wave of them come after him. So we had to, our house ended up being like a halfway house. We felt like we were a hostel because they'd all come over, stay with us for a few months, and then find their place and then go on. So it was just normal to always have 3 or 4 relatives at one time, constant revolving doors of uncle, auntie, so. So you know how everyone, your uncle and auntie, and
I mean, I find it beautiful, right? Because that's one of the things I really like about being African and being a migrant. It's just there's always this sense of community. You're never really alone. Yeah. And you help someone today, and they get to help you tomorrow. Yeah. That's just the way it works, which is great. So then that's the beginning, and. What inspired? How did you find yourself into fashion design? What was the? Was there anything that happened during your childhood?
Well, if you know Nigerians, you know about Nigerian Yoruba culture. Yes. It's all about dressing up. Right. There's a party every week. Right. Something. An occasion.
Yes.
Every weekend.
Someone's wedding, someone's baptism.
So my mum's got trunks upon trunks of fabric and clothes and stuff for every occasion she went to. and the all one bear, where they have to do the kind of uniform.
Yeah.
So I mean, I remember our christening. I was in age 7. Me, my sister, and my younger brother were christened in the Church of England Church, and it was a really, really big event, and all the relatives were there, and I'll probably send you some pictures from that time. Yeah. My mum had 5 outfit changes during one evening. I think it was 5 at the last count. And those photos are so iconic when you look at them.
Oh yeah, colours and
the colours,
the giving,
all in the rich damask, and I think that memory is etched in my brain as a kind of a pivotal moment in the life of a young Nigerian. Who has not been to Nigeria, has not experienced Nigeria, has not experienced the full extent of family get-togethers. Right. So we met people there that I had not seen ever, all in this what seems like fancy dress.
Right. Yeah, especially in the context, right?
Exactly, costume. So it was kind of, I don't think Nigerians are really themselves in the Western clothes. When they wear their full native, you can really see their beauty. You can really see how the culture kind of brings them alive. So I didn't recognise half the relatives that once they were in their native attire. So that was kind of quite an exciting experience for us. So we were wearing Agbada's baby size Agbada hats and
gobi.
we were wearing it all, and so that was. I think at the time we were really into style, as opposed to fashion. It was a way of dressing up to be expressive, to be part of the community, to kind of look your best self. Yeah. So
that's where it was birthed.
That's where it was birthed. And in school, it was an innate thing that we all had style. We all had. My dad always wore a suit. He never owned a pair of jeans in his life, so he was always suited and booted. So that's where my tailoring side comes in.
Well, that's the thing with African parents, right? Because the way you present yourself says so much about you and your family. Absolutely. So you got to make sure you always present yourself, as best as possible.
Best as possible.
Yeah.
I mean, even now, if I turn up at my mum's and I haven't shaved, not cut my hair, should have something to say about it. So, I kind of make sure that it's neatly done. Visit mums so she can't start with, why is your hair so rough? Why is your face looking so
It doesn't matter how old you get, right? You're always that child,
Why are you going to cut your hair? I'm like, okay. It'll be done tomorrow, don't worry. So she's like, always been on my case. So all of us in the family were all quite stylish. There's 4 of us, my 2 brothers and my younger sister. One of my brothers is more into labels and he's into style. Whereas I'm more about, I don't care for the label.
About how you put your clothes together,
yeah. So he'll be like, oh, look at this new Louis Vuitton I've got. Look at this new Dior I've got. I'm like, not interested.
Right, because again, you don't need. What are your thoughts on that? You don't actually need to wear designer brands to actually look good. Yeah.
In fact, if you are wearing them and they're all the logos emblazoned all over it shows the lack of your own style. You think that you're being endorsed by wearing theirs, and the notions have changed now because when these super brands started out, they would never emblazon the logo all over the front, all over the back, it wasn't about the branding, it was more about the fit, the quality of the fabric, the silhouette. And now it's all about merchandising. I think that's came about with the nouveau riche wanting to show how they've arrived. I've got the latest Gucci, I've got the latest Prada. So it's all kind of twisted a bit now.
But I think you still see it though, because I think people who really have it don't feel the need to kind of need to show it, so they don't wear things that are very loud.
Yeah.
But
there was a documentary about the royal family the other day, and the chef in the kitchen was talking about there's a man upstairs that's come from the garden. He's asked to see you, and he went up and he didn't know it. And then this man was wearing a cardigan that was completely tattered. The elbows were completely holes in them, threadbare, and it was actually Prince Philip. Was wearing this completely worn out jumper, and so that was kind of telling, because they are of the richest people in the world, and they're not looking to be
impressed.
Right. And that level of wealth
doesn't care.
Yeah, they don't care. It's not about the latest Balenciaga or the latest McQueen is.
Yeah.
And those people that are buying into it now, you have to recognize it from 50 paces.
Right. It's a kind of different look at it, So that was the moment the love of fashion and style was birthed into you.
Yeah.
But then how did that grow? And when did you eventually decide that you were going to do it? And of course, how did the family respond to it?
Well, I mean, my early career started out in civil service. I worked for the Overseas Development Administration.
Okay.
So trying to work with the aid organisations that were giving aid to Africa.
Oh. How long did you do that for?
I did that for maybe 3 years.
Okay.
And then I went into banking.
Oh.
I worked for Barclays head office. And at that time, Barclays were a huge investor in South Africa. So, which was his early 80s, mid 80s. So apartheid was still a thing in South Africa. So I thought I'd be part of the internal that would try and change their mind about apartheid.
Right.
But of course it didn't happen. Barclays were Barclays, they were huge investors in diamond mines and so on. So I was there for 2 years. So I'd done 5 years of admin work.
Right.
And that suited my parents. You know,
right,
our son works for the government.
Yeah.
Our son works in the bank. And that was all very, and for a boy from working class Hackney, that was good enough for them. But it wasn't good enough for me.
Right.
It was the most boring thing I've ever experienced in my life. I'm even trembling with fear of how bored I was. To think that if I could still be doing that, how boring and dull my life would be.
For the rest of your life.
Yeah, exactly. In the overseas development, they were going to send me to Sana'a. That was my desk. Sana'a is the capital of the Yemen.
Right.
And I had to go to a briefing at the Foreign Office. Okay. And the minimum you stay in these countries is 2 years. I was 21 or 22 at the time. Mm-hmm. So the briefing really scared me. Basically, they said that you can't engage with any of the locals, don't go into bars, don't have any conversations or sexual relations with any nurses or anyone from the local community. Your phone will be tapped and barred because we need to keep a tab of what's happening.
Wow.
You won't be able. You'll have one holiday a year, and I was like,
that doesn't sound too exciting.
And I haven't signed up for this. I'm not.
And you weren't even doing was your specific word that kind of that deep or
Well, I mean, when you join the civil service on any department, you sign an Official Secrets Act. Right. Which means you can't talk about anything. Yeah. So that was part of why that briefing was. I've still not been to the Yemen. Some part of me thought it might be nice to try for two years, and I was very into travel at the time. Yeah. So I thought it would have been a good idea until that briefing. I thought this is not going to be the kind of laid back kind of working environment I thought it would be. Right. So it's time for me to leave. Okay. So because at that point you couldn't do anything.
It was a path.
Yeah, that was a path. You had to go there.
Yeah.
As part of it. It's like if you do a university sandwich course. In year 3, you have to go abroad. It was that kind of setup. Okay. Then that's when I applied to do banking, and I was there. It wasn't retail banking, so I was in the head office of Barclays. Okay. And I was ordering all the change for all the shops on Oxford Street when cash was a thing. So they'd have like £500,000 or £50,000 for Selfridges that needs to be changed. Mm-hmm. So £100 in pound coins or £1,000 in 50p's. Right. So I had to do all of that, and that was a process every day. Right. And if 50 pence was out, you'd have to start your whole client all over again. So it had to be really, really specific. That's what I did. And I wasn't public facing. I was good at my job. I got good appraisals. Until one day, my manager called me in the office and said to me, your job, you're doing a really, really good job. Carry on, keep it up. But at the time, I talking about style. Right. I couldn't wear
anything too flashy.
Yeah, too flashy. So I had good suits. They were all like Armani suits, and I used to express myself with colourful ties. I spent a lot of money on ties, which were the thing at the time. Yeah. So every day I had the most outrageous and outlandish tie.
I can imagine.
So, and that was the only way my kind of personality could shine. So the manager called me and gave me a really glowing appraisal. He said, "But we need for you to tone it down on the ties." I was like,
what? So you like my job, you like what I do, but you just don't like the way I present myself? That's, I mean...
And it was specifically the ties. And I was like, okay, I mean, this is the only bit of my personality that's showing out and you don't like it. And I'm not even public facing, so it's not like anyone in the public arenas made a comment about it. I was like, no, my next move is on the horizon.
That's so interesting, though. Just for the ties. Like I wouldn't even understand, I guess, if you were wearing like pink suits or something, you know?
Yeah. So it was like Prince of Wales check or, you know, pinstripe, but then the tie was what bothered him. And I thought, So of all the things you could think of to say, because you've got to find one criticism, and that's where you put it. I was like, okay, I'm out of here.
That was the tie that broke the camel's back.
So I was like, I need something for me that's a bit more about who I am.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what I wanted to do because I thought these were the jobs for life, jobs. So if, you know, once you go into the civil service, you never get sacked. Banking, you never forced out. So I said, I don't know what I want to do. I need to travel. I need to get away from London. I need to get as far away as possible. So I ended up going to Australia, which I lived for a year. I didn't know much about it. I've met some people that were really nice. I met a bunch of Australians in London, and they said, anytime you want to come over, hook us up. We will hook you up and look up. And
but why Australia specifically? Just because you knew them here?
I knew them and I wanted to get as far away. I didn't know New Zealand was further. So
you would have
I wanted to get far away from London. I needed to kind of time out.
Right.
Also time out from Europe because, you know, cold weather wasn't so great, and so I just thought, something a bit more exotic and something different. Although I lived in Sydney, which was a bit like another suburb of London.
Still feels,
I've done 24 hours on a plane. I feel like I've just gone to another part of London.
That's what I was going to say. Australia is quite, you know,
but I kind of found myself. I was young, and it was a good time, a hedonistic time. I had a really good. I kind of found myself out there. People were really friendly, easy to meet. So I used to go out a lot at night. And
what would you say was the highlight of your time in Australia?
The whole trip was just amazing. I went to a New Year's Eve party. So this is bicentennial year, and I met Grace Jones there.
Oh wow!
And I met some people that said, "Come to our studio." They were designers, husband and wife team. Julie Teal. I always be very fond of the help and support and friendship they gave me.
What was their name again?
Julie Teal.
Okay.
And Greg and Julie Teal. He was South African, white South African, and she was a native of Australia, white Australian. And she said, "Come out and hang out at the studio," just because I wasn't really working at the time. And she said, "You've got really good style, and I'm thinking of doing a menswear line." Because it's just, why don't you just help me on doing it? So she started the line, and it was like really successful. She said, "You should really think about a career in fashion. You've got a natural gift to it." And I was like, I hadn't
thought about it.
Like, you know what I mean? I like buying clothes. What's a career in fashion? What does that actually mean? So anyway, the long and short of it, she came and stayed with me in London, and I've also met some people that were into Aboriginal art, and I was working in their gallery for a little bit in the Aboriginal Artists Gallery, so I found out a lot about Aboriginal art. And so my creative juices were flowing with the art and the fashion. I thought, I'm really enjoying this, and I was getting paid. So that was really good.
And I'm sure no one was criticizing what you were wearing.
And I then thought I was good at writing, and I knew about fashion journalism, so I applied to do a course at Central St. Martin's in fashion journalism. So it was having fashion, but having more kind of academic side of it, rather than the creative side. So I thought, I still need to earn some money. There would always be a need for journalists. So I did a 4-year course there in fashion communication and promotion, and for my interview, Julie had come over and I had to produce a portfolio of clothes as well as art design and stuff. And we set up a little Benina sewing machine and we made all these like beautiful outfits.
Oh, that's amazing.
One for me to wear to the interview and some to take.
So she was very much like a mentor.
Yeah, she was very much like that. And so we did that and I got in straight away. I didn't know that St Martin's was this really like huge place. I just knew I didn't want to study in some northern place. I wanted to be in London.
Right.
St Martin's was doing this course and I got in. I took my portfolio in a dustbin liner. Didn't even know what a portfolio was.
Right.
And, I just presented all my stuff. You know, these kids there that had been like at art school before, did foundation courses, were like fast track to this like design course. I was there with Alexander McQueen, Hussein Chalayan, Stella McCartney.
Oh wow, that's
they were
incredible.
all part of that cohort at the time. Yeah,
Maybe that you just kind of found your way there. Yeah, that's kind of amazing. Yeah, I mean, this is it's probably why I'm also doing this podcast, right? Because I think Egbon means elder in Yoruba, and it's to kind of inspire the next generation of young people, especially migrants, to try and find their way. In whatever industry that they want to pursue, and I think it's just great to hear that you were inspired by other people who also mentored you, and I think that makes such a huge difference in one's career, right? Yeah. To have people like that kind of show you the way, take you in.
It's funny because I was just thinking on the way here that I could do with having another mentor now. Wow. Because it can be an isolating and lonely path when people think, oh, he's so successful, but. It can become quite lonely because you're doing it all on your own. It's great to have someone to spring ideas from, or someone that's even further ahead that can kind of talk about the pitfalls and then just have a conversation with. Right. So Pharrell, if you're out there,
I'm sure people will reach out to you. But I mean, it's also they often say that, right? It's quite lonely on the top, but you are doing very well, though.
Yeah, I'm doing very well, but on a kind of. On the outside looking in.
Right.
But then there are those internal challenges where you think, I don't have the yacht yet, I don't have the condo, I don't have the private jet or the driver,
right.
Or the house in Malaysia or Vietnam or Thailand, or even the weekend house,
It'll come.
It'll come. But so I've never been the person that's looked for that.
Right.
I'm not money motivated.
Right.
I like to be. So when I worked in the bank, when I worked in the civil service, I had money. I didn't have big expenses.
Right.
So I thought, is that all there is?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I had a car.
Yeah.
And I'd always had nice clothes. I'd always had, restaurants, gone out partying, and I thought, there's got to be more to it.
Yeah.
So having had not vast amount of money, but a good lifestyle,
right.
And know that it's not as fulfilling.
Yeah.
It kind of switched me off of chasing money,
right?
Just chasing my own dream, and I can be very fulfilled in just drawing a sketch and taking that out to its final. That's my thing. How that ends up, and I get a lot of pleasure from doing that.
Just creating something coming from your mind to reality. Yeah, that's.
I think all creatives, most creative, I would say they're not money minded. They're not money motivated. You have to express. It's part of your living. Mm-hmm. You can sort of go a bit stir crazy if you're not. Able to be
released. It's almost like a release.
Exactly.
Yeah, you need to put it out there. I mean, unfortunately, some people try to take advantage of that and they just try to get you to work for free or these kind of things, which is very annoying.
It's very annoying.
But it is a need. Whether you're a fashion designer or a singer or an actor, you almost have to just do it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's part of just therapy.
Right.
Part of your daily well-being, just to keep expressing.
Yeah. So that's incredible. So you went to St. Martin and you were with all these incredible, I guess, young designers at the time. How was your time there? How did you enjoy it?
So it was 1990s. We were in the depth of what was it called then? The economy was really bad.
Right.
And there weren't any jobs to go to after university. There was a recession, and it was kind of bleak. It feels like a bit how it was now because there was no jobs. Businesses were closing down, mortgage rates were high, people were losing their homes, and it was kind of, companies were closing, it was kind of really, really bleak. Central St Martin's is a place that teaches people to be self-sufficient. and work on your own and create things to the nth degree. Right. So we had ideas, we had wild, out there ideas and ambitions, which kind of made us unemployable. We had to be, so if you look at most of the big houses and design companies, and most of my peers from that time and subsequently are all self-employed. Right. They're all either heads of their company or doing their own thing. They're not in companies working, they're doing their own thing, or they're at the very top of their game. And that was what was my biggest takeaway from that. I don't think I've had a job since. I've never sent a CV anywhere since I've left.
That's incredible.
And that was in '94.
Yeah, that's a testament to your resilience, but also your talent, right? Because clearly you didn't need to do it.
No.
So yeah.
I don't even know what CV is.
Yeah. Oh, that's a blessing. So you went. So right after school, did you? So what did that look like? How long after that did you?
So it was a 4-year course. I started actually working and getting paid in year 2.
Okay.
So I lived in London. Right. The school was in Soho. You're always out at night, networking, partying.
Yeah, it is networking. You can do both at the same time.
Yeah. So and everyone was doing their thing, all young, trying to meet each other and work with each other. So I was actually working as a fashion stylist by the time I was in my 2nd year.
Oh, nice.
And in the 3rd year I did my industrial placement. I was working for a shoe designer called Johnny Moke, had a shop on the King's Road. Nice. So I was doing his PR for him, so I worked with him for a year. He's sadly since passed, but he was a really great guy to work for and with. And he'd not had a PR for years, but a lot of people knew him, so I kind of made a resurgence of his name. Right. When I got into, because part of my course was fashion PR, fashion marketing, graphic design, reporting, all that stuff, so I was perfect for him. And it was a perfect kind of internship for me. He left me to my own devices. I used my contacts and friends and people that were all on the scene. So Katie Grand was one of my good friends at St Martin's. Katie Grand loved magazine.
Nice.
And I introduced her to Rankin, who runs Hunger magazine. So we all used to hang out. So he'd asked me to start this magazine. It was a fanzine at the time called Dazed and Confused. Its early life was called Eat Me. So he found out this fund that the university had for people to start up projects. And he said, come and join me and do fashion. I was working on a magazine called Blow, which was a photocopy magazine. And I was busy with that and I was doing the marketing. So I said to him, no, I'd love to do it, but I'm just too busy.
Right.
But my friend Katie might be interested. And I got them to meet and they had a relationship and that became Dazed and Confused.
Incredible. That's just crazy how these things happen, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm hearing though is that you were always like a go-getter, you know what I'm saying? Even while you were in school, you were interning, you were networking. Yeah. So that's definitely one thing to also encourage people to do, especially young people.
Yeah.
So don't just go to school, you know, try to find a way to make money to network, because that's actually the best time to do that.
Absolutely.
Because you're not expected to work. And you're not expected to do anything really besides learn.
Yeah.
And you're in this environment where you're surrounded by other people. Yeah. You have tutors. You just have a lot of resources and opportunities. And I think some people just kind of wait around and think about when I graduate. And I'm like, there's so much you can do while you're in school. Yeah.
And I mean, I learned a lot from other students as well. My peers, my fellow students, because we're all so creative, but our veins of creativity is different.
Right.
So watching how they work and then watching how I work, or what ideas they had, I got as much as I got from the teachers as I did from being in that environment with all those other people. And I was slightly older than the average student, and there were lots of mixed age people there. Anita Pallenberg was also in that year. Anita Pallenberg was married to one of the Rolling Stones.
Nice.
She was 60 when she started the course. And so we hung out, and I guess it's part of my Nigerian culture. I always had an affinity for older.
Right, yeah. Because it's wisdom, right?
Yeah, right. So I want to gravitate towards that.
Yeah.
And I was what was in class as a mature student, even though I was only 24, about 4 years older than the average student.
Yeah.
I was made student rep for 2 years, and I, really got involved in all the kind of the politics side of it and the standards for our fellow students. That was good. I was in my year there were 92 students. It was the most they'd ever taken on because it was a new decade and they were changing all of the courses. So my actual course was the first of it. So we were the guinea pigs of it. There was only 2 students out of 92 that were black, me being one of them. And another girl called Christine Fortune, who now runs the talent division of IMG Models.
Nice.
And I'm not much in touch with her, but we've had loose contact since. But on my first student rep meeting, I kind of said it's a bit, I didn't use the word racist, but it's a bit tokenist that there's only, how come there's only 2 black students? There were 2 Asians as well. So a girl and a guy and me and Christine were the 4 people of colour in the whole of the cohort, the whole of the student body of that year. And I didn't see many other black students in all of the other departments, in all over in graphic design and photography, painting, there wasn't any. And they were like, oh no, it's not, we're not racist or anything, it's just the strength of the portfolios. We just didn't get that many great portfolios. And I thought, well, I'm not art trained. And mine couldn't have been the best out of all of those applying. And,
or maybe it was though.
Maybe it was.
No, but I hear you though.
It was like, as a people, we're naturally stylish. We've got lots of ideas. Maybe they couldn't have presented it in the way they wanted it to be presented. But anyway, the result of that was that they said, look, why don't you come on the interviewing panel? So when we do the interviews, come on it. It's just we normally have students in on it as well, so why don't you do it? The following year, I think I interviewed 20 people of colour, or non-English students. 10 of them got in.
Wow, that's incredible. Even at that young age, you were so forward-thinking, right? And you were already making an impact even at such a young age, even at that time, right? This is like, the late 90s, that's amazing.
And so, so that was kind of great to see that they listened, and I think what that did for me, knowing that I could talk to, when you meet a person of colour, there's certain barriers that you have to take away. So it put them at ease. The ones that have been interviewed, and I could ask them questions that then let them open up about what they were doing in their creative process. So they weren't intimidated.
Yeah, it feels less of a proper interview.
Exactly.
It's more like a conversation.
So I think that was probably why that had happened, and so that was cool. And then I left there to start fashion styling.
Nice.
I assisted a stylist called Kim Andretti, who at the time did this commercial called The New Supermodel for Vauxhall Corsa. So the new supermodel had all the supermodels in it. Do
you remember which ones they were at the time?
Well, I worked on Naomi Campbell.
Nice.
There's Naomi Campbell, Linda Evangelista, and I think Kate Moss might have been it. There's one other who I can't remember. So the idea was that, there's a new supermodel on the scene, and she'd be posing in front of the camera, and then this car would pull up, which is Vauxhall Corsa, and they'd push her out. So I worked on that. So she was a great start for my industry. So I got working with her, and then it was a time where freelancing was a really good thing. So I was actually working every week up until stopped styling, and then I left university and did an internship at Vogue. Nice. I worked with Lucinda Chambers, who was the creative director, and that was fantastic. That was life changing.
I can imagine.
So Edward Enninful wasn't the first black guy.
Samson was there before.
But that was kind of weird because I was literally Lucinda saw something in my work and was like, why haven't they sent you here because all of my year, all the other girls that were in my class had been, but they didn't send me because they didn't think I'd fit in. So anyway, don't know why somebody insisted I go and see her. I can't remember who told me to. I did go and see her, showed her my work, and she said, start next week. As an internship. And so I was like, okay. And most other interns that have been there, all they do is clear out clothes cupboards. There's been people that have been there interning for 2 years and they've never been on a photo shoot. I was on a photo shoot from day one.
Wow.
And I thought that was what everyone did. So
I think there's like a pattern here right now. You just keep thinking, you're so amazing. These things just keep happening to you, and you just think that's normal. It's almost like what a genius would do. But I think you might be a style genius. Maybe you should do fashion.
It was kind of weird because everyone was like, I don't think I see anyone kind of in the building. So when I was in the elevator, literally the part size as I walked in, and I was like, something weird happening here. And I remember all the girls from because Condé Nast was in Hanover Square, and there were 4 or 5 titles that they had. Other people would come to my floor and point at me. That's him over there. That's him. That's the guy. Look, something more in the black guy. I was like, this is weird. But I mean, it's kind of racism, but it's not. If you think that a lot of people in those echelons, that are standing, are not exposed to it.
Yeah, well, especially at that time.
At that time,
yeah.
Sometimes it's not as bad now because now we're making waves as people and being used a lot in editorial. But at the time, I mean, Naomi Campbell was the only one that they ever featured of colour in the magazine. So even at Vogue, I had some black model friends, and Lucinda would ask me if I knew anyone, and I got a couple of them in a shoot with Nick Knight, and they ended up in the issues.
Oh wow!
And so that was great that she trusted me to do that. I'm vaguely in touch with her now, but she was another changing force for me. She gave me the chance and opportunity to just be around.
Yeah, which is what we all want. Like all creatives, we just crave that opportunity.
It was a pinch me moment because I didn't think that could ever be a possibility.
Right.
I wasn't in the mold of it, and so I was grateful for that. Edward Ellingford, I'd met a few times before that. He was an editor of ID. Everyone had said, go and see Edward. And so we were kind of the same kind of age, mate, and we were sort of knocking about all the same people. But if you think that time, it was a culture of there's only room for one of you.
Right.
So he knew about me and I knew about him. And I went to see him at ID to do some work, but unconsciously, subconsciously,
you do, yeah.
But he wouldn't give me a break because it just wasn't enough work for both of us. Christine Fortune, who's the girl, the black girl, that was at mine, she ended up doing quite a lot of work for them. So that was good to see that she got in. She went and lived in Milan for about 5 years after that. And then came back recently. So that was interesting working there. And I was freelancing for 15 years. Just every week a new client. A lot of it was music and pop videos. I got burnt out. The long and short of it, I just got it's just tiring. Every year, a new bunch of people, a new crew, lugging clothes back and forth, here, there, and everywhere. I was like, no, I'm done.
But I'm pretty sure you've met some incredible people, though, and you've worked with some incredible people.
Yeah. But I've never been starstruck by people. I've never been impressed by fame or a celebrity.
Right.
Even now, it doesn't faze me. Yeah. The more I know about a person, the less I'm inclined to like them.
No, I'm the same, but I'm thinking more in terms of, because being the son of immigrants, being here in this country and being able to be in this space, which is probably not even what most Africans did at the time, right? So to be able to be in these circles, it must have been at least like, oh, I am doing something, Yeah.
My mum was encouraging. My dad understand what the hell was going on. He was like, you know what? At least he's studying something.
Right.
My mum said, okay, you're learning, you're out there, but in the back of her mind, it's just a phase. Okay. I mean, even to this day, she's a bit like, when are you going to get a real job? Right. Fully understand this is it. Yeah. I'm here. But she's never been too pushy to try to make me do other than what I love. Right. I guess our concern is that, financially I can be self-sufficient and, provide for myself. Yeah. But I have enjoyed it. It's been a rocky ride, I'm not going to lie to you. It's been lots of ups and downs. But the ups have been good and the downs are not so good, but that's life. Yeah. You roll with the punches and take it as it comes.
So after the 15 years sailing, when did you decide to have your own brand?
Well, one of the shoots that I did, one of my last shoots, I was asked to dress the set. So the photographer said, I've got this location. It's a 70s house in Highgate, but it's all too bland, it's too bare. Come and have a look at it and see if you could dress it to make it look like a kind of a 70s kind of hip kind of lounge pad. So I was working in furs and sewing and stuff. So I took the furniture that I had from my house, my own furniture and bits and pieces, cushions and throws that I made for myself, to the set, and it just completely transformed it. And they were so, I didn't come home with any of those pieces, they all bought them.
Wow.
The models bought them, the photographer's husband bought them, and it was just like, okay.
That's incredible.
And I found myself a little studio in Hoxton, before Hoxton was anything, and used my mum's Benina sewing machine, which still wants back, and started making cushions. I learned to sew at St. Martin's, and so I could sew. But these are easy to do because everything was a straight line.
Right.
And they sold really well, and sold them to Harvey Nichols, Bergdorf Goodman's, Barney's in New York, Joyce in Hong Kong, Ten Corso Como in Italy, and
And you were featured in a few magazines as well, right?
Featured in every interiors magazine that was published at the time, every single one of them.
That's incredible.
And that, so it was great. I enjoyed it a lot, and I still do a bit of interiors, but that just really took off.
Yeah.
So using my fashion knowledge and background, I was bringing fashion fabric and fashion sensibility to the home, and using fabrics that nobody was using to make sort of home furnishing. And that
could you give an example of something that you would use that most people didn't use at the time?
Well, like I was using embroidery, beading, suede and leather, applique, lots of fur, Mongolian lambs, something that I was big on. That people were using for trims and Afghan coats, but I was using that as full-on bedspread.
That's so cool. What I'm hearing is like also your ability to kind of seize the moment, right? To be open to possibilities, and whenever you saw an opportunity, you just kind of ran with it.
Yeah.
That's
and that's something that anyone out there listening should really pay attention to. Every opportunity is something that you can grasp by the horns and do something with. Every day we wake up, we've got a chance to do something new, to be exposed to something that we're not, it's a chance to be a better person than we were yesterday. Every stranger is a friend we've yet to make. So
that's a good one. That's a good one.
I've always worked from that. And I'm a people person.
Mm-hmm. Same here.
I love conversations. I love hearing about people's journey. Right. Everyone's got a story, right? However banal or bland, there's always something that you can pick up on. So I always want to know what makes people tick. What makes them, what's their drive, what's their raison d'etre, what their reason.
It's almost like talking to myself, which is why I love storytelling as well, because I think everyone has a story, and no matter how different people may be, they all have, because we all have our drives, you know what I mean? And we all have the things that move us, and we've all had a childhood, and we've all had love or heartbreaks and all these things, and I'm so curious about people. I think you can always find something that you can relate to for someone else.
I did a drama class I've always been into learning and developing and improving myself on any level. So I was always doing an evening class at the City Lit or somewhere. I was always trying to I learned
to learn.
I learned embroidery at City Lit. I was learning Yoruba for a little while there. There's always something to cake making was one of the things I did. So in London, there's so many things. There were back then that you could do. There's never a night that you should be bored. So there's always something out there to do. So I was taking it upon myself to find something.
Where do you think that hunger came from?
I don't think it was a hunger. It was a quest for learning. It wasn't. We should never stop learning.
Right.
None of us knows everything.
Yeah.
And there's so much that the more you learn, the more you know how little you do know.
Right. That's true.
So I've always found that I could be the master of one thing that I know about, but then what about those things that I don't know about?
And in so many ways, they always come back to kind of feed into what you do anyways.
Yeah.
Right. Because there's always something, especially as a creative. Anything can inspire you.
Absolutely.
If you're always open and always tuned in.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
And also, I'm kind of, I think I've always had ADHD. I get bored of things. I need I need stimulation on 24/7 level.
Yeah.
Even when I'm sleeping, my mind's going overdrive.
Yeah.
So I need to be sort of doing stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know how people are bored. Do you know what I mean?
I'm the same way. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, I'm the same way. It's I know some people. I'm sure there's different levels to it.
Yeah.
Because nowadays people just want to get medication for everything, and I have the same thing. But I feel like it's a superpower in many ways because it allows, like, I'm a night person. I don't sleep at night, and I'm always like up thinking of things, writing or I think it's like a superpower. Well, but it's sometimes it is tiring sometimes.
Well, you must be a Sagittarian. I find my most creative times are sort of post midnight.
Yeah, same.
I get so inspired. I don't know where the ideas, they're God-given ideas, and it's like I'm just overtaken.
You're like a
by
vessel.
creativity. Yeah. So it's like I don't know where they come from,
right,
or how it kind of works for me, but I never lack ideas.
You're tuned in. You're tuned in to the creative spirit.
I always wonder when it comes to that, like, what will happen when I just run out of ideas? Right. How would that feel? What would happen? At the moment, I haven't got enough hours in the day to
do everything,
to get any of the ideas done.
That's a blessing. I
see it as that, and I try and get at least one of them done. Before they just used to be in my head. Now I'm trying to get them on paper, so there's like stuff there I can refer to when I've got the means to get to it. And there's always something. So I like working from that, but it is kind of a curse and a cure at the same time.
It is.
Because oh God, can you just switch off for a minute?
I know, that's what I was saying, is you can never switch off. And sometimes it is frustrating when you, because yes, they're always there and you want to be able to actually do something with them.
Yeah.
And then it gets frustrating when you're not doing it, or when you feel like, okay, you see something else that like you had already thought about, and you're like, I should have done this. You know what I mean? I should have, so I think for those out there who have the same thing, just try and make something of it. Whatever comes in your mind, whatever, try to write, try to do something. It is exhausting though at times, but you gotta try.
And also, if you've got a mind like mine, it can be like to devote that time to do that one task. I've got like 15 screens on at the same time on my computer. I get off on tangents all over the way. I'm like, okay, focus, get this one done, and then it's like, but they're all feeding in, and I'm sort of completely wired with all this input that I take in, and I never filter. I just let it all.
Yeah, it's almost like a high as well.
It is. It's adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
You get these ideas. So like you said, I'm tuned in.
Right, that's what it is.
I don't turn off the receptor, so I receive it all the time. So I think I'll use that at some point. But I think you've got to at some point exercise some discipline, and find a way of channeling it that makes sense and is manageable.
And is useful, because sometimes you can just get lost.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just get lost in.
So you can start 15 tasks and never
finish.
That's been the bane of my life.
I hear that, yeah.
I've got so many unfinished projects. So even in my draft box, all these emails I've started. I haven't sent that one yet.
I know, I guess that's where some of the medication comes to be useful. I don't know. Anyways, I think I'm the same way though. I try to put time every day to do certain things. I'm like, okay, for 2 hours I'll work on this, and then for 2 hours I'll work on that. That's
Are you disciplined like that?
I have had to force myself to be that way.
Right.
Otherwise, you just get lost, But
is it working for you?
Yeah, I would say so. But I have to really push myself.
Right. So it doesn't come naturally.
Yeah, it doesn't. No, not at all. Right. I really have to push myself, and I have to be really hard on myself. But I still get fulfilled when I actually finish some of these things, But I think there is frustration though when because I never stop. I'm very passionate and I'm very intense, I guess. So when I focus and I do something and I finish it, it has to be amazing. And it has to come. It has to be great. And sometimes I get frustrated when it doesn't.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
That's the thorn in the side of most creatives, I think.
Yeah.
You can get obsessive about certain details.
Yeah.
I can work on a PowerPoint, a Canva presentation, the main crux of it is there, but I can obsess about the detail, which is like, forget about that. I mean, if it's like needed in 6 weeks and I'm starting it early, I'm still twitching around with like the colour, the font, the this and that. I'm like, oh.
But again, I embrace it though, because I think this is what makes you special, right? Because you notice those things, you know what I mean? Like you pay attention to those things. A lot of people don't even care, don't even notice them. So in many ways, even though it can be frustrating, it's a blessing. You know, I'm trying to find a way to kind of use it. I think it's just all being aware. Being aware that, okay, I have this thing and this is what's happening, and let me just have fun with it for as long as I can, and then there's a time when I just have to stop, you know? And sometimes it's good to have a deadline. I think deadlines are great. I think deadlines are great. Because it forces you, again, it forces you to actually like finish. And I think I often find that like...
Do you have self-imposed deadlines?
I have them, yes, or sometimes I just wait till the last minute.
Right.
But
the truth is out. Yeah.
I know.
Because I'm a person that is like, okay, I've got 6 weeks. I'll leave it to 2 nights before, and then it's like 2 solid nights of intense, no sleep. Just get it done.
Yeah, but it is so satisfying though when you finish. Then you're like, you know.
And because I've got into that way of working, I can't actually start and finish within 2 weeks before the deadline.
Right.
I'm still working on it on the way to the to the client.
There's positives and negatives to it. Yeah, it's you know, but it can be frustrating though, because there are things that I'm like, I've had deadlines and I almost missed the deadline, or I've submitted it and I'm like, I could have done better. I could have done better. But
that's going to be the constant drive that we have to kind of always, if you've achieved it, and then there's
there's nothing else
impetus to kind of get it the best that you can be. So
just gotta keep going. Right. So then so you started with the throws and the interior design. Then how did it grow into your own clothes? What was that journey like?
Anyone that's been in fashion and then gone out of it, there's always a pull to go back into it. I was talking to Derek Lawler, who's now doing a similar thing. He's doing interiors. He's now head of knitwear at St. Lyons. Always championed each other. And he said, he's missing fashion. He wants to get back into it. And it's always there in the background, and it always kind of presents itself. I took up a shop in Shoreditch, where I am now, in 2002, and I shared it with a fashion designer who'd previously been at Oswald Botan. She went to start her own line, Eastern Song. So the shop was originally called Soboye Song. After 5 years, our leases of every 5 years, she decided she wanted to start a family and do her own life, just not have the responsibilities of running the shop. So she left, but I wasn't ready to give it up. So I took it on my own, solely responsible for everything, which is a big okay, why did I do that? I didn't really think this through. But here we are, let's go through it. And I've been there 23 years now.
Wow, it's amazing.
Yeah, I didn't know that was going to happen, but
I came into the shop, it's almost like it's just full of little treasures. I mean, wherever you turn, there's like something that you notice, you know? It's really... Yeah,
it's kind of a way of life for me. I've really enjoyed doing it. But it's a labour of love. If you don't love it, it's hard to do. There are days where, it's completely dead, there's so many challenges. But it's who I am now, that shop. There was a point where my lease was not fully sorted out. And I had to move out of the shop for a few months before
going back in,
and I didn't know what to do with myself. I was completely lost, because it really is
who you are.
Who I am. And at the time I thought I'd relish having a few months off to kind of do other things, but I really didn't know. I was like, I don't know what to do now. Where am I going now? I needed it to kind of like anchor my days, anchor my weeks, to have a purpose really. So I went back with it with new vigour, but we were in unusual times where it's people's aspirations, and post-COVID, post-Brexit, we're all, the socio-economic landscape is such a
I
challenge.
know. Yeah, there's a lot of uncertainties. It's incredible. I heard that my drama school that I went to is not accepting any undergrad this year because they don't have enough funding, And it's crazy. I just think about all these kids who had dreams of going there, who had been applying. And also, it's such the Bristol Old Vic is such an incredible history of so many incredible actors. Incredible. So many incredible actors have studied there, gone there, and it's such an interesting time. Very sad time. Hopefully,
Olivia. I can't remember her name. Olivia, who played the Queen in Monterey.
What's her name? I'm terrible with names. But I can see her face. She's played the Queen. So many incredible actors have gone there, and it's just the times. It's just the times. They always got the arts first,
Yeah.
They always got the arts first, and when in fact we actually really need the arts, But that's another conversation. Now, what would you say were the highlights of your career? What would you say, like when you've achieved them, you were like, oh wow, I'm actually here now. I'm actually doing this, or who did you work with and you felt like, wow, things are moving in the right direction, or.
It's odd because you don't. I personally don't think in those terms, but it's only because when people ask me, they're like, okay, I'm now going to conjure something up. But I guess when I opened my shop, that was a game changer for me.
Right.
And when I dressed Nile Rodgers, that was kind of cool. When I met Grace Jones, had some time with her, that was like, I refused to do work with her on 3 occasions because I thought when you meet your idol, they might be nasty.
Different,
and put you off them, but she was lovely. So those were 3 pinch me moments, and I think the rest is yet to come.
Right.
Yeah, I still really don't think I've peaked.
Right.
And I've got so many ideas of what I want to do, and
Yeah.
I can see them sort of happening. Don't know yet how I'm going to get there.
Right.
But I think when I do, I'll know that that's been a highlight.
Well,
my show last year was Black Majesty, which you came to.
Yeah, it was fantastic, beautiful.
That was
great.
A very big moment for me.
And also your styling of all the other designers as well was incredible.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Incredible.
Yeah, so we've got part 2 coming in August this year, so look out for that. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
What other things I would say?
Well, I will say, because you even just listening to your story, you're very humble, and you don't think that you've achieved much, or you don't think that what you're doing is special, but everyone else looking at you thinks that you're incredible. And I think that there are people out there who are looking at your life and looking at your career, and they're like, oh my God, I want that. And I know you've done so much work that you're not even mentioning right now. You've done work at the embassy. I think you did something at the embassy.
Oh yeah, American Embassy.
Yeah, American Embassy. So sometimes you have to be, and I know it's hard for creatives sometimes. Sometimes you have to give yourself a pat on the shoulder.
I mean, it's good that you remind me, and I do need someone to say, look, we've done this and we've done that. 'Cause basically, when you're on the merry-go-round, you're just churning and churning. You don't have time to pause, time to reflect. You're just on the next project.
Yeah.
That's something I really should try and learn how to do, because I don't see, I don't even get the photographs. I'm just on to the next project. Next project. That's always been how I've lived.
Right.
I don't look back. I'm always forward thinking, forward looking.
Yeah.
It's like, why am I looking back? I'm not going in that direction.
It's a beautiful way to live, actually, because you can always leave things in the past.
Yeah.
But I think it is helpful to try and put it together. And try to think of these moments, even though it doesn't really matter. But I think it does for the people watching you. And sometimes I think you even forget what you've done. You forget,
I mean, I've never been that great at archiving. I've never been, and I think maybe we suffer that as a people of documenting.
Absolutely.
And so that might be an ancestry curse that I've kind of inherited. I think it's really important that you do reflect, because if you don't know where you've been, you can't really work out where you're going.
Yeah.
If you don't know where you're going, anywhere to take you there. And it really is, they say plan. I mean, plans can be loose, but to have some idea of where it's going. I'm not one for major planning detail, for day by day, hour by hour. The ultimate vision, the end goal is always there.
Yeah.
It's ever present. So I think, I don't even know if I know where there is.
Right.
I haven't really got the,
I mean, there's no end goal anyways, right? Otherwise, then what's the point of continuing? But I do think that it is. I would do it for you. I would be there. I would be there, and I would encourage it. I would say, Samson, you've done this. You're doing very well.
I think I've kind of ticked the boxes of all the things I've kind of wanted to do. I've travelled around the world. I've worked with celebrities. I'm myself made man. I don't want to work for anybody. Right. I don't think I could even do that. And so I've created my own path. I've cut my own cake, if you like. Yeah. And that. It's been my greatest moment, my greatest ambition. I've lived how I wanted to live, unapologetically. Yeah. And that's been my biggest moment. Yeah. But I don't have to apologise for what I'm doing. I can always be forthright in my opinion, or giving my opinion, and being in a position where I can pull others up. Yeah. Because I was in an age where we were wary of each other, and we knew the spaces we were inheriting, that we closed the door behind us. And I've never been that person. And
it seems like you've been doing it since you were in a university.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I also know that you're a co-founder of a non-profit where you...
So Ikenga is a very passionate project I've been working on. It's been going for nearly 4 years. And that kind of started or was born out of George Floyd movement, whereas we could see what was going on. And so we covertly did what we did to encourage students to be part of the narrative. Right. So we provide mentorship. I've personally mentored 4 people since we started. We hold workshops, we hold networking sessions, we call them mixers. 180 Soho House, partner Soho, our partners in that, and that has become our head office. And it's been a hard slog, it's been a hard journey. But it's rewarding when we see the growth and how many people are engaging with us. It has grown, and we're trying to develop that and get more people involved.
That's incredible. I think you're doing so many amazing things, and you're just being very humble. That's good. This is good. Well, thank you so much, Samson, for coming.
Thank you for getting me.
Yeah, no, of course. I think there's so much more to learn about you, and we should definitely do it again, because I think there are so many different aspects of your career that we can dive into more. But I figure we should do this little introduction. Okay. And
watch this space.
Yeah.
It's all coming out.
Thank you very much. And I'll see you again.